The work both in blockchain as well as in identity started out in Microsoft as incubations, basically
Mm,
explorations within an engineering group about the technology, understanding it, what could be things that are relevant to Microsoft to do. In the identity space, I think it was probably even harder than it was in the blockchain space to understand where Microsoft had a role to play.
mm,
And then also, there's always a pressure at some point for revenue. So, like, the question always
yeah.
is, like, why are we doing this, right? Is this a strategic initiative? Is this a standards initiative? How is this going to generate revenue on a product basis? Or is this just something that is a game changer? And I think what the realization in the identity team was that it was pretty effectively a game changer, right? You're basically
Mm,
flipping authentication and authorization right on its head. And when you do that, and this is really the revelation, is that you unwind a whole bunch of very complicated spaghetti federations that
mm.
you don't need, right? If you put the identity trust in the hands of the consumer and then have, essentially claims of what that consumer is allowed to do. And so, it's a fascinating area. And Microsoft identity team basically looked at that and said, well, does that help our core problem set around authorization? Does it do things that are remarkably different and better? Then you started to look at, well, okay, Active Directory is about in 80% of institutions, government, private sector, not for profit, commercial entities alike. And that becomes a huge lever of a vehicle, essentially a ship vehicle for capabilities or features or whatever you want to call it,
Mm.
where now we could take our newfound belief and start to fuse it onto a ship vehicle. And so what's actually launched now, through a couple of years of announcements and incubations, is an ability for a customer to flip a switch on Active Directory, which allows them to issue DIDs to their employees and then verifiable claims that say this is an employee. This employee is active and has an authorization to do things within the context of Active Directory, which is your sort of your enterprise or your institutional permissioning system. And so that's where we are.